to prove. They want to come in here and show that they can go that step further, that they've developed. The only thing I will say, looking at those maps, I think you've got Cafe, which is really good for WYLDE. You've got Skyscraper bookending at the other side that's really pretty good for MNM, and then you've got this battleground of Chalet in the middle. And I think the winner of Chalet could be the winner of the day. So I'd expect 2-0 WYLDE or maybe 2-1 MNM, but who knows? We're in for a cracker.
Look, someone's got to back the boys, and I was M&M from moment one as well. I think seeing this draft, I was saying yesterday, surely they don't get Sky. The two maps that they've won 7-4 against Heroic and G2, surely not. But it's made it to a decider, so I really hope we get all the way through to 3. Anyway, Cafe underway. Let's have a quick talk about these bans, Tim. Sledge coming out, Nades from below. Love seeing that. And the Ying and the Clash following through as our next two bans.
Yeah, Clash is an interesting one coming in there from MNM, but I mean, Clash is a difficult operator to deal with sometimes. You know, she can really hold things up. Like you say, you've then got to burn a lot of utility, whether that's nades, whether that's bringing along EMPs, you know, even, dare I say, bringing Zofia back into the lineup. Not seen any Zofia for a long time. The days of the Zofia pick being there alongside Ashe or in place of Ashe at one point are long gone. But Clash can really dictate your attacking lineup, so it might just give a little bit more freedom. I think there's obviously, you know, some specifics in there as well. Maybe looking towards Packball, we know that he's particularly good on the Clash, so maybe a little target element there as well.
Well, that's what he asked. He was like, is it respect or fear? I think any who look back and maybe remember his first game, I think actually was on this map where he played Clash.
His debut?
And back in the day, I remember actually he played back when Dead Body stayed in the game, and he was on the ground as a Clash and just domed someone as they came in through double doors. It was awful. Disgusting. And so he earned his name and has been that player ever since. Anyway, it's off the board, it's taken away. In we go here, while starting on the defensive side, MNM on the attack with a late switch over towards Grim for Nello.
Interesting to see that we're not up on that top floor. I've been over it a million times, but statistically not the best defensive side.
Tim, I've missed your rants about this top floor.
Even though it's popular, it's still not generally the best one. So they're going to start us out on that middle floor instead. Castle being brought along. I always like Castle play. It's always tend to get a more tactical strategy out of defenders that bring along a Castle. I think sometimes you know, it's not just let's get some roamers in their faces and see if we can find some kills. There's very much a plan about funnels, about you know, lines of sight and angles and everything else. Not to say there isn't normally, but you just tend to get a little bit more of it with a Castle. Solotov, though, kicking us off straight up there to the roof, gets a couple of hatches open. MNM are underway with this top floor clearance. They're going to want top floor control here because they want to use all those lovely, lovely soft floors to open things up and get some verticals down onto that site.
Yep, with this window being opened up here where the Castle barricade on for a second on the white stairs, that more gives you the angle straight down white corridor. So straight away you can see for MNM, it's about trying to restrict the movement of these defenders here, really constrain them in a little bit, give themselves some map control to play with. And I imagine ideally it's trying to free up Piano a little bit so they can get bodies inside the building and start working their way over. Without that sledge, as we've mentioned, you'd be turning towards things like those breaching charges in User's back pocket. However, only a couple of those left on side as we can see. Going to have to be mindful here, they won't be able to play too aggressively off the back of the verticals, so at some point we're going to have to see some gunfights. And sure enough, Solotov's in with the first.
Yeah, that's exactly what they need. Like you said, they're going to need man advantage if they can't get those verticals. But I tell you what, Jegs, he knows that. He's having absolutely none of it. He's put him on ice from the freezer, Des. Absolutely slams Tyrant and Solotov, one on either side. What a response from Jegs. He will not be moved.
Patience being shown, though, by Nate. Possibly by Nate, actually. I think it was by Users, but the pair of them clearly had a cross onto him. News inside freezer and expected that he would move. Didn't want to stay there for too long and ultimately has been traded out as well. But I think finding 2 kills out on the roam is wonderful, really, for the defensive side. They're not going to be complaining about this, knowing that those calls are offline from Solotov and any nades that would have been in Tyrant's back pocket also taken away from the team. Here we go with these verticals being opened up, though. At some point, Tim, I think it's going to be a drop in here as well. It's looking a little bit ropey already, and I think WYLDE are in a great spot to hold this one down. C4 comes up, but not going to find his man, I can't imagine, as he steps towards. Obviously, we have the gift of those outlines. It's not going to find Users up above, though.
Risk and reward, though, where limited opportunity is there for them to establish verticals using the Nitro, does give them some lines of sight they might not otherwise have had, and this is not getting anything for it. But 2 versus 2 as Ted manages to find Nello. The trade is there immediately. It's 1 versus 2, 10 seconds, and Packbull, it is going to be having to hold on the castle. Does not have the best game in the gun, the best gun in the game to do this with, but time ticks by. He manages to hide himself. Plant is going down though, Nerf. He's going to stick this, Des.
I was really nervous he wouldn't get away with that one as well, but it's just about got away with it. Pax worked his way upstairs, can see them from above here, but goes to the pre-fire. It's too late. Doesn't see the man who steps a little bit deeper inside a train. And MNM kind of pulled that one out the bag, to be honest with you, Tim. Really thought Wild had it there when there was only 30 seconds left in the 3v3.
It certainly looked that way. Especially with 10 seconds left to go, you get that 2v2. You know, you've got a Packbull down on the mid floor, but there was just a really important kill came in. I think it was Users who picked it up for MNM, and it just gave them the space that they needed. Packbull then just trying to sort of cling on and having to fight his way back in, as I said, with that weapon that's not always the best one to be taking gunfights, particularly on somewhere like Cafe, quite a big map. You usually over quite a long distance, and there wasn't anything that he could do. So Wild, they're going to move themselves on. Going to head to Reading Room this time. Still staying away from that top floor. They're going to give mid another chance, but I think they need to just hold on to top floor for a little bit longer this time if they can do.
To be fair, a lot of it was down to M&M in that first 60 seconds. I mentioned them getting onto white stairs and getting the window and just completely cutting off the top floor, and then it was a case of search and destroy throughout that top floor, and it was Jegs inside a freezer getting a big 2K that slowed things down. But even bringing it down to the 3 versus 3, M&M still managed to snatch it away, admittedly only just by the skin of their teeth. The diffuser was upstairs. They had what? About a second and a half left on the clock when they started planting the diffuser. If Packbull's in a good spot, suddenly you start having a very difficult conversation, and that round goes the other way. So all in all, a pretty close first round. Again, it could have gone either way in my books. I'm excited to see how this one plays out with the mirror on side this time round as well. That could be a pretty big difference maker. Hungry, as we all know and love him for, always going to be the utility player who's bringing out all the kind of crazy stuff his team need.
Soto's just holding that angle already. Look at that. Inside 30 seconds, just cutting off all the way through train and just want to catch anybody on a rotate for an early opener. I know Solotov was picked up in that pre-game by Fresh and Fabian, and just really wanting to see a little bit more, I think, you know, of what we know Solotov can deliver. And he's going to have an opportunity potentially to get himself inside of the map as that Selma charge will detonate. Aces is forced away. Drone sees him as well. So on the Jaeger there, just being cautious, knows he's been picked up, doesn't want to overcommit himself. Here goes Solotov, and it's Solotov who's going to overcommit. We had them in the head-to-head, and then we see the head-to-head right on screen. Aces comes out on top, and that's advantage Wild to kick us off in round 2.
I know it was a little bit of a head-to-head, but the stat line that I love that was prior to Wild destroying Secret 7-0 yesterday, Aces was the only player on this Wild lineup who was positive in KD. He has been out and out their best gunner throughout the stage. Sure, we've also seen Jegs really step up after that game yesterday and get himself into being positive as well. But for me, Aces is probably going to be the real demon in this server that M&M are going to have to contend with. And sure, we can look at players like Users. We can talk about that front three all day long. We've got to see a hero really stand up. And Tyrant will be, honestly, the last player in that front three that I would really expect to stand up and be able to bring down players like Aces. But that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, big kill from Tyrant there, just leveling things up with a minute to go. M&M, they need to find some more, but look at this. They are able to start working themselves in towards site. They're not a million miles away from getting themselves a bit of access that might allow them to think about getting that diffuser down. They're going to have to move Packbull, but I'm just not sure about that angle. He sees the feed, but no, just wasn't quite ready for the fight. There's Users is going to take him down 4 versus 3, and once again, coming in towards that sharp end of the round, and M&M start to grind out that advantage as they get in on top of Wild here. There goes another one, and this is now just hold on for everything that you've got. Hungry, 1 versus 4, not a chance. Nerf shuts him down. That's going to be round M&M 2-0. Not looking like a good start for Wild.
Just looking really just responded to by M&M in every single capacity. Sure, Aces started things off, but you saw exactly what came next. Got traded back out by Tyrant. And when it came around to that fight from Pack, like, I don't know, at that point you're probably saying you've got to be doing better. You see the legs at least take a shot, but instead opted to try and strafe back towards his right, and it was just a free kill coming out from Users. And it's one thing I looked at on paper yesterday, doing a little bit of digging into the stats from the games that we've seen so far. Yeah, Pack on paper looks good. His numbers don't look bad. But my thing is, all of his strong stats have come from the 2 7-0 wins they've got. Versus ITB, the massive overtime game they had, and versus VP, where they got absolutely rolled. He crumbled. He was bottom rated. He wasn't really present in either of those games. And I fear now that we're coming into Decider against arguably a team from the group of death, as we've now described it. Is he going to be able to keep up with some of the players in this game? I'm not saying that he's going to be useless, but I do think he's going to struggle against some of the firepower that we've got in this MNM squad.
I think anybody would, in reality, like you say.
That's for sure.
Absolutely would. I'm not sure I'd even manage to get the diffuser down against MNM, if I'm honest, and that's really going some for me. I'll always find a plant, but you're going up against Tyrant users and Solotov. That's no joke, and that's before you even look at Nello and Nif. Like you say, you've really got to be on top of your game when it comes to them gunfights. As I said at the time, I don't know if it was PackBull that opened it or not. Just the hole that he had opened in that barricade, it just wasn't favourable, was it, for looking out of? To look out of it, his gun barrel was aimed towards the ground. It's not where it wants to be. You want your gun barrel up at head height. It's a one-shot headshot game. You really want to be hitting that, as quickly as you can to end that gunfight and keep yourself with as many hit points as you can. So I just wasn't sure about the whole positioning, the whole angling, just really giving them an advantage. It's something I do with Banshees if I play Malusi. I always put Banshees on the ground. I never put them on the wall, because to shoot them out, players have to aim down then, and that's what you want. It gives you that half a second advantage, and it just he was kind of giving it away there. So I think WYLDE, they need to avoid those little mistakes, because MNM, they'll punish you for them.
They may well do, and MNM are bringing out something real spicy in round 3. They're hunting down aces. I don't think he has a clue here as to what's going on. This should be a freebie as long as Solotov sees him, but at this point, they have no idea. Now they know Ace is sprayed down low. May still find his man. No, it's Solotov to strike first. But Tim, we can't ignore the comp they've got here. 6 frag grenades in back pocket. You've got the Capitao and the Glads together. They have come loaded for the execute this round.
Yeah, they certainly have. And now, with that kill onto Aces, they've also got control of underneath. You can already see it there. We just had that flick onto Solotov as he was just launching that grenade up at the ceiling above him. He's got another one in pocket. He'll go again. He's just waiting for some information. You can see them on the drones. They're trying to spot him out in Cocktail. That's directly above Solotov's position in reading. And if they get that ping, you better believe Solotov will hit his mark with that vertical nade.
He may well do, but you can see him just fishing all around here, from above, from below, just really looking to pick them to pieces here. Another nade in hand, one on the stairs, trying to find his man, but backs away. Hungry now aware there is pressure coming up white stairs, but I'd be more mindful about the pressure that's on the window. It's Tyrant not too far away from him here. If he gets the right angle, he could do some serious damage. They called support across from inside a fireplace, nothing to come off it, and Solotov, what a shot he lands onto Hungry, deletes him. Jegs down to about 10 HP inside a freezer once again. Blant's going down, they've got the Overwatch coming in from the glass, and Nate's going to get this one stuck out. This one's done and dusted. MNM with another plant and looking to secure an early 3-0.
Yeah, MNM playing really well as a team here. Just like you say, able to play that objective, create the space that they need, and find the kills as well. They're sort of looking like a complete package at the minute. I'm sure there's a lot more siege to be played. Beautiful angle there from Teb. Just can't find his man on that east rappel, but it's looking a little bit rough for him here. 1 versus 4. They know exactly where he is, trying to work his way back up white. I think he's just trying to threaten him with a potential jump out. It's not going to happen though, as Nerf manages to find that final kill. We just had a player drop part way through after death, I believe. Just a little bit of a HUD bug that was identified in the chat. So we'll have them back in ASAP. And, well, they're already in. They've beat me to it. And I think once we have this timeout from WYLDE, no surprise at 3-0 down, Des.
Yep.
Look at that from Nate. 5-0, 2 plants.
He's going well.
Absolutely flying at the minute.
He is. He's going incredibly well right now. Nape actually topped the scoreboard against both Wolves and G2. He's been having a wonderful group stage so far. You could say that about a few of the players really on the side of MNM, and looking really across like users, looking at Nafe here as well. Solotov, although he's had a couple of stinkers, had 2 massive games versus BDS and Wolves. You could call him almost a big game player in the same way that Nape is, and this is one of the biggest games you'll come into. You lose here, you're knocked out, you aren't in contention to get yourself to the major. Instead, you're going to have to go and battle your way in through those open quals. So, to have big performances like this from Nape, from users, even to have Solotov getting in the mix, yes, he's on 3 deaths, but he's been in the mix every single round. Just shows here that MNM have woken up on the right side of the bed. WYLDE still yet to get out of first gear, though.
Just to give you a bit of context as to where this game fits in and why it's so important, of course, for anybody who's maybe just missed our wonderful pre-game with Fresh and Fabian and Ian, of course, on the desk. We are in the EUL deciders, so we've been through those group phases, and these are the quarterfinals. So we've got second and third places playing off against each other. So this is second place from Group A playing against third place MNM from Group B, and the winner will go through to face BDS in the semi-finals.
I don't fancy that.
I don't think anybody will, but I tell you what, I fancy that more than losing and going out into that, that last chance qualifier, which is what will happen to the team that loses this. They drop straight out. The one who wins, albeit against BDS, have a chance to continue and get that direct qualification into the major at the earliest possible opportunity. So this is the stakes here are absolutely huge. Make no two ways about it. And I find these games fascinating because your form, your performances from throughout the group stage sometimes just go out of the window because there's so much more on the line. It feels rather than thinking you've got another game next week, you've got another game tomorrow. This is it. This is the full stop. This is all or nothing now.
I really thought it would wait until the second half when WYLDE were on the attack for us to finally see Monty getting brought out. It has been Hungary's most played operator so far. Here, though, looking at it, it's Nello bringing it along instead. Still got the Capitao in the back pot or in the hands of Napier, looking to work his way forwards, and everything else really is as it's been previously. But the nice thing about this is you can use those firebolts to make room for the Monty to come moving on forward. You get rid of those players that are in tough positions and then just force your way in. Still got themselves a couple of goal canisters to burn through, I think, at least to slow things down. But MNM, I don't think, are going to be too bothered to, because they are going direct to site. They're not going for a full map clear here. They're getting bakery and they're hitting site straight from there.
Aces knowing that there's a Monty, obviously taking the choice for that Vulcan canister. That's a little bit unfortunate, though. Just tries to put an impact nade out there that can be crucial in fighting against an operator like Monty. It's a good way of getting some damage if you can land those around his feet, maybe just in behind him. But catching the wall is not going to do Aces any favours. Takes a little bit of chip damage himself. Now then, we have, interestingly, Teb working his way all the way up to the top floor on the Solus. Drops back down, but for the time being, they're holding those verticals.
They've got the impact nades as well. I really thought for a second, okay, why aren't you guys playing closer to be able to disrupt this, essentially? What they've done is gone for the late take on the top floor with the assistance of the Solus as well to make sure they weren't going to get caught out by a drone watching them, for example. So they've got into a good spot here to do a little bit of damage. I'm just nervous that already MNM are kind of in overdrive here and are kicking it on forwards. They're going to have to make this one work pretty quickly, because that Solus being above will spot out when this diffuser starts going down, and you can bet your bottom dollar that floor is getting open the moment that begins.
Yeah, you would expect so, but it can be a little bit tough to find some angles depending where this goes. If they look to plant just in front of that breach, it could be a difficult one, but how about that? Double kill Warden and Wumai. The Aces and Jegs are going to go down. Pipebull as well. The plant's been confirmed as the Solus above could do absolutely nothing. It's 5 versus 3 with Pipebull down, so essentially now 5 versus 1 for Teb. I don't care whether you're on the Solus or any other operator. This is looking unlikely, especially facing off with a Monty on the other side as well.
Absolutely. I think maybe MNM caught WYLDE a little bit off guard there. It's almost like MNM expected it. Guns pointed skyward, the Monty planting in a slight off position that they weren't expecting, and they paid the price for it. A near flawless round, if not for Teb getting that trading kill at the very end there. But MNM still in full control. Not forgetting this round came after a tactical timeout from the side of WYLDE. Now they are looking in hot water for these last two.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to remember, we say it all the time, those tactical timeouts do give the other team a chance to have a chat as well. And MNM certainly using that opportunity to really cement what's been going right for them so far. Able to double down, bring even more of it, and really start piling the pressure on to WYLDE. At 4-0 down on, their map choice and what we would consider to be probably their #1 map. This is not looking good for WYLDE. And, I often talk about the mental side of the game. I'm sure that thoughts, while still trying to avoid it, naturally are going to go back to stage 1 and the struggle to get through those best of 3s. Last time around when they had the opportunity, you can't help but avoid it. And right now, it's looking like it could be a difficult day for WYLDE again. We don't want to see it. I'd love to see WYLDE get back into this and get competitive. But right now, there's only one team in this server.
There are, and hopefully when we get to that second half, we do see a different WYLDE emerge. Always say, 2 halves to a game of Siege. You never know what's coming once you hit round 7. Sometimes a 7-0 is inevitable. Other times you do see a bit of a change in fortunes. But one thing's for sure, WYLDE do not want to be down 6-0. So let's hope they can get something out of these next 2 rounds.
Oh, they need 2 rounds. They need 2 rounds here.
By the way, I've been told that I need to tell you, chat have notified. This is the blessing about casting this way, as I can see what chat are saying. They are enjoying your breathing, but they want you to calm down on the breathing. You sound like you're having a panic attack.
Too much breathing. There's no panic attack.
Just hold your breath, Tim. Just don't breathe.
No. There's,
I think they
there's
can hear
only
you a bit
excitement.
Loud, mate. That's all, don't
no
worry.
Panic. I'm just thinking of the panic meme. That's all I can see in my head.
Don't panic. Calm. Panic. Right now, WYLDE are panicking. Already on the top floor, Teva's just been caught completely out of sorts, out of position, and taken out of the round.
Solotov again going well on the entry, really setting MNM up strong in a couple of rounds, and it's certainly not going to make life any more comfortable for WYLDE. 4 rounds down, now a man down as well, and it's going to be a tough one for them to fight back from.
Codes online. Just hoping someone comes forward, and Solotov takes the bait. Patbull being given the freest kill I imagine he'll find all day, and his first of the fixture as well.
Right now, I think WYLDE just looking to try and hold on. They need to burn as much time as they can here. MNM, apart from that first round, I've never really felt like they've been under a lot of time pressure. We see the Claymore surviving the explosion just on the inside there. There was a bit of me thinking, don't let that damage sneak around that corner, but it doesn't, and they'll be safe from the run out. Gonna have Jegs on very little health here. He's got his gadgets activated, but it's going to be very difficult for him to move away from White Stairs because he's going to take an absolute clip of a bullet as he tries to move away from there to end his life. So having to be very careful. Users picks up aces, and it's not looking good for WYLDE.
They just keep on picking their way forwards, and dare I say WYLDE look a little bit disjointed here. Going back to Teb at round start, aces just then. There's no real team play coming out of it. They're trying to slow them down and sure, having a little bit of success, but again, it just feels a little bit fractured, like they're leaving themselves isolated to be hunted down by MNM like a pack of wolves, and really not much more can be said than that. Here we come though with 4v3, only 30 seconds to play. The clock now going to start working in MNM's favour. However, they find one, there's another on very low HP. It's Jegs just to the right. Tyrant, go to the right, buddy. You played so well. Just one more. That's all you need, my man. One more kill's all he needs. It's an easy closeout. MNM with the close. 5-0, Tim. WYLDE, where are you, my friends?
They really need to get them. So right now, it's easy. You know, I'm going to say, I know that this sounds like the simplest thing in the world. They need to get around. But I say that because of how crucial it is just for them mentally, because right now it's like they haven't started playing this game yet. You get one round and you think, right, we've got something, we've broken the momentum, we can start to get ourselves back into this a little bit. You know, it's 6-0 half. There's a bit of me that thinks, you know, if it was me, I'm thinking, I'm already looking towards the next map at that point. You know, these players will believe, of course, that they can turn it around, that they can, you know, do the flip reverse and hit them for 6 in return and go to overtime, but it's just going to be such a big ask, and mainly because of how MNM are playing. You know, look at Tyrant 5-1, Users 7-1, Nath 6-0. How do you fight back against that for 6 rounds in a row? That's why it's so crucial for WYLDE to get this last defensive round.
Well, Tim, you give him a better gun, maybe WYLDE come out on top, and that's what I'm half expecting to see in the second half, at least for a couple of rounds. But I can see this being 7-1, 7-2 quite comfortably for the side of MNM. The big thing for me that I've seen on this side of the map so far has been, or this side where MNM are on the attacking side, sorry, is just that togetherness, right? They know what they want to do at round start. They know the angles they need to expose. They know who they need to have on what windows, at what time, and how they're going to force players to move. And they're just making WYLDE look a little bit silly, a little bit amateur, dare I say, by forcing them to come running into difficult spots. I look back again at Teb in the previous round, Ace being picked up for free by Yuzus. Just little things like that, all the things that WYLDE want to do, which is be disruptive and get up in front of MNM. MNM just look ready for it every single turn.
Nif sending in the drones. Again, like you say, being ready for everything is something that MNM are doing well, and they're using the drones well. They're getting that information game played. They know everything that they're coming up against. They've got the IQ, so they're playing well against the Valkyrie, for example, in this round, and they just seem to be a step ahead at the minute. Users just having a look to see if he could reach the Valkyrie Black Eye, but could not find the angle through the hatch. So the cam will survive for the time being at least, but at the first given opportunity, I'm sure that will get taken out along with any other utility that the IQ picks up.
We've seen the scrum a few times as well, alongside the Decabi, and I think it's just really oppressive, right? It's like a new version of Lion, whereby you're being called out, you're being scanned here, okay, you're being hit by bees at the same time. You know, you are going to be screwed no matter what happens is the way to look at it. And you can hear now, in comes those launchers, all the bees being dropped in, and immediately Teb's like, yep, get me out of dodge. I am not staying around here anymore while those things are swarming around.
Hungry's going to drop away as well, so that's top floor control now gained by MNM. They've got 1:20, so plenty of time to work with. They've got 3 soft breach chargers in the hands of users that can be used to start opening that floor up a little bit. They only really need to open up the angles into reading room, to be honest, and that's going to allow them to get in from reading door and maybe get a plant down. So I'm sure that's something that they're going to be looking for. User scores on the rappel, probably going to get himself in, I would imagine, and start that process. Aces does manage to pick up Solotov elsewhere, though, in a little bit of a reversal of fortunes. The entry kills have so far largely gone against WYLDE, but especially where Solotov's been concerned. But no, Aces manages to get one back. I think that makes it 2 each for them onto each other. Certainly been battling against each other this game.
Just feels inevitable even with the 5 versus 4. The things still can go horribly wrong. Aces rounding himself off, just about narrowly getting away from the footholds as well. That would have seen him. Nate a few seconds too late. But Tim here with 15 seconds to go. Maybe it's not so inevitable, but actually they can still do this. Teb gets one more as well. They're on the upstairs here. Hungry hits the deck. Tyrant down to about half HP and shot in the back as well. They didn't know this was coming. This time around, it feels like WYLDE will finally get that little bit of padding they were looking for. One more hits the deck. Surely they can't get away with this one. In and trying to plant, but Uses is the last one left standing. Pat will finish him off, and WYLDE do finally get themselves on the board.
That's exactly what we wanted to see at the end of the half there. Best possible outcome of round 6 for WYLDE. They get themselves one on the board, but also at the perfect time. If you're going to take a 5-1 half, you're better off picking up round 6 than round 2, for example, because at least you're breaking that momentum. Mentally, you're saying, coming into that second half, right, we've got our round, we've started things, we're rolling, we just need to keep going now. It's one round at a time for WYLDE. They just need to focus on the one in front of them. Round 7, first attack, it's going to be on to Kitchen. Again, they haven't brought too much in the way of soft destruction by the looks of things. There's time for that attacker lineup to change. Of course, throughout the prep phase, the attackers can choose their operators. You see that happening now. The Iana switching to the Jackal. We get the Brook brought along. That is screaming to me. Top floor take. The Ram as well. Open everything up on the mid floor. So, roamers, beware.
Absolutely. I'm keen to see what WYLDE brings to the party as well. I've mentioned, okay, get him on some bigger guns on the attacking side, and maybe you'll see some changes coming into the fortunes of how these rounds have been playing out. But now, though, it looks like we are going to see a couple of spicy things coming out. Patwell on the Ossa being number 1. I thought we might see the Monty coming out given it was available, but clearly Hungry's saying, nah, not for me. Wants to get across on that Ram. And with the sledge band away, it feels like the perfect time to bring that operator out.
Here we go then, into action phase. The question for me is how quickly can WYLDE get this done? Is their confidence in clearing and getting map control going to have been at all dented by that first half? And the struggles that they've had, we'll see when they start moving in. I always think towards Shaco and BDS, and you know, it's easy to do so, of course, with the ability of the player, but he just moves so quickly. They're so confident, you know, over the last 18 months, really, on Cafe, of just getting in there. But look at this, Des. 45 seconds, a beautiful use case of Ram there. You don't have to go into the building. Chuck it in through the window, set it going, and you've already started getting your verticals. Jegs is moving down. That's the confidence that I wanted to see. Plenty of time left on the clock. This is going well for WYLDE so far.
Just looking for the control they need here, and I think they've got it in absolute spades. I mean, looking at the lineup, You've got the ITO and the Jackal, you've got the Buck Skeleton Key, you've also got the Ram. They can open up every single bit of soft flooring on this map if they so choose. Not forgetting, of course, like you touched on with the Ram earlier on, that you can also curve it from outside the building to go through the rest of the map. But here, you're going to get this wonderful cut all the way across. And I remember when everyone first saw the teaser, they were just like, God, it feels like death from above. And I can only imagine it sounds just like it as well.
Well, that's the other thing, you know, not to forget with Ram. It's one of the real secondary benefits, really, is the noise of the gadget as well. Obviously, covering up, you know, many sins, things like plants, things like footsteps, all sorts of things that might not be quite picked up. But Ted is going to open up that hatch and continue the modification of those floorboards to suit the vertical angles, just opening up even more in and around Freezer and Kitchen now, making it very, very difficult for MNM to keep themselves on site. You can see there's a number that have moved right out to the extremities of that site, but Ace he's going to find Solotov with an entry. Second round in a row, and that's advantage WYLDE.
Absolutely. He's really got to wake up in this half. You know, 2 and 6 coming into it. We spoke about him being a massive player and needing to really shine, and hadn't done that in the first half. I think getting the entry onto Solotov is a nice one, but really I'm looking towards players like Nath, Users and Tyrant here. They've been the big three, especially in this game. Nath is taken out. That's exactly what you want to see. Taking charge, large and in charge, marching on forward. Here come WYLDE on their drop in. Tyrant sure will find one, but it's just that, Tim. It's only one. There are 4 still left alive.
And there's only one left on the other side to try and do a job here. Tyrant manages to get one, but it will be nothing more than a consolation kill as WYLDE pick up the round and get themselves back to 2-5 on the scoreboard. And as I said, it's just got to be one round at a time for them. Just focus on round 8 now. You've got yourself a little bit of momentum. You know that you can get this rolling. Maybe we're just going to have... We know that the attackers are usually pretty comfortable on Cafe. Maybe we're just going to see that with a magnifying glass on top of it. But there's a world, of course, where WYLDE, they run this all the way back in. We've seen it before, you know, a 5-1 half returned with a 6-0 half. Maybe, you know, WYLDE send the message that don't you worry about us, we were wide awake, we were just waiting for our moment.
It seems that way with 3 kills in 1 round from Aces. The one thing I look at in that last round and really reflect on those, the lineup that we had coming out from WYLDE wasn't like as aggressive as MNM as when it came to taking map control, right? We had the Jackal on side, sure, but that was really about it. We didn't see things like the Decabi that MNM were bringing along pretty much all of the time, and I thought we might see that too, you know, abused almost by MNM, see them get out around the map more, try and be more aggressive, because we had a lot of vertical destruction and we had the Ossa on side. But MNM were back on site very, very quickly, which meant we could see that vertical destruction just get used to absolute effect by WYLDE. And really, the Ossa wasn't even needed in the end, because by the time they got round to it, all those vertical holes had been used for Aces to find a couple of kills, close out with a third and the drop down through. And it was just easy peasy 1, 2, and 3. So what I really want to see in this round, I know they've got another pretty defensive setup. We've got to see MNM getting aggressive, and already they've lost the castle out to the other side.
Forget that aggression. It's going to be Packbull who opens things up for us. Now then, Tyrant, he manages to get back one onto Hungry, which leaves us level. A little bit of utility gone as well there. If they were looking for that top floor clearance, the Zofia can be really useful. You've got a castle barricade that's blocking a line of sight through into Cigar. So for one, the Zofia could open that at distance and just make sure there's nobody playing in that area. It doesn't look like it's too much of a sticking point, but Jegs just putting that air jab out there, watching that angle, maybe not too sure whether there's anybody in there. So it just goes to show how the loss of an operator can really have a knock-on effect. And you've also got those stun grenades that Zofia uses. You can send those in, see if there's anybody in an area. It just really helps those clearances to move forward.
And probably more alarmingly than just the util itself is the fact that Hungry is 0 and 7 so far. Yeah, it's not there's even an excuse to hide behind of playing things like shields for an entire half. It has just been a rough day at the office for him so far, although truthfully that's how it was for all of WYLDE, and to some level still is. Sure, Aces has just got off on a big one with a 3K, like we say, but now it's about consistency. You've got to build that round after round, because MNM only need 2 to get this map done and out of the way. Now, Aces is out of those frags. He's going to have to try and do everything with the guns from here on forwards, and Solotov's in a spot of hot bother here as well. They know exactly where he is. The angle lines up, but he can't find his man.
Manages to make his escape onto White Stairs, can keep himself fighting later into the round, but it's still not ideal for MNM because what it's doing is giving ground up, and WYLDE, as you can see, are getting themselves in a position to potentially put this diffuser down. They're opening up the fireplace wall with thoughts of getting themselves the long angles they need. Teb manages to find Solotov. Now then Aces knows that he's got company up here in bar, but it's going to be Jegs who manages to find the kill onto Naif. They're dropping like dominoes. There's it's one after another after another. MNM just trying to cling on. It's Tyrant once again. 1v5 last time, 1v4 this time, and an absolute ton of work to do. Packbull is getting that diffuser down, and that's just showing that we're able to put that diffuser down just as much as you are, MNM. Teb, he closes out the round, and WYLDE, they bring it back to 5 versus 3, and we've got that game that we wanted.
It's exactly like I said earlier, Tim. I say it every single game, and it always seems to come to light, except in rare cases. There are two halves to a game of Siege. You are seeing the exact opposite of what we saw in that first half. MNM now look a little bit lost, a little bit unsure of themselves. WYLDE are the ones completely full of confidence attacking in towards this map. For MNM, really, here, I would have loved to have seen them taking a timeout here early. Most teams do it after 3 rounds, so if you lose here, you should see them do it then. But honestly, things are crumbling so fast, and they're not even close to winning a round, that I think you've got to stem the bleeding, have that conversation now, and talk about what you need to be changing about your playstyle, because clearly what they've done so far, it ain't even scratching the surface.
No, that's it. It's not even really been close for MNM trying to hold on in those first 2 defensive rounds. So heading into round 9, then we'll see whether they can make a better job of Kitchen. I feel like they need to learn from what happened last time. We've got a slightly different lineup coming out of WYLDE, though, and that's what I like. I was almost expecting to see that Ram again, almost expecting to see those similar ideas, but absolutely none of it. Hungry's going to go across to the Blitz, and it just suggests with that Dorkaby in as well that maybe there's not going to be as big a focus, and MNM have shifted. They've got themselves around the map. They've got that presence to stop the mid-floor control coming in from WYLDE, but maybe they're not going to be looking for it. They need to be careful they don't get hit on side quickly.
They're going to. The fact you've got a Blitz, that you've got a DKB, that you've got a Jackal. Yep. The only thing you're really missing from this is a Lion to make this the worst comp to get run over by in the world. Aces, of course, sticking on the Ana as well. They've got those names. We know how good he is with the gun, so why take him away from where he clearly is most proficient? But I just think MNM, give it 30 seconds, they are going to get run over.
The question is, have they got any response? Are they going to blink, or are they just going to stand tall? And, you know, sometimes it's an option to just actually run over the rush and catch them out on their way in. We hear the phone calls coming along. There's still no sign of movement yet from WYLDE towards site. We're waiting on Hungry, really. He's going to be the tip of the spear, you would imagine, going in on the Blitz. We've got the canister coming out from Grim, but it's not really going to force Tyrant out of position. Still able to hold on to that shield in VIP.
They want Naif out of here first, so they've got more freedom to basically run in where they want to be running in, right? They want to burst in from multiple directions. Don't all charge in the same spot, but to do that, they've got to really unsettle the fortresses of where these defenders are playing. And Naif is proving to be a little bit of a headache. He needs to be gone first, then they can make their play happen. But it feels also like MNM are kind of aware of what be coming here and are adapting. Yeah, they've heard the DKB, they know that there's a Grim on side, they know there's a Jackal. They know something is up and they're getting ready to deal with it.
Hungry tries to push in, but he's just going to have to dip back, comes across a goo mine, and it's just going to halt the progress. And right now, WYLDE are really getting stuck there. They're just not able to start forcing their way in. Nello, he's just going to keep throwing those goo mines out as many and as quickly as he can. Jegs is trying to get an angle onto court check. A minute left to go, and WYLDE, no real progress yet, no real ingress into the map. They're going to have to find a way. Jegs, he's got himself a nice angle here for any rotate, trying to move back in, but I tell you what, Users having absolutely none of it. Shuts down Jegs with a beautiful headshot onto the stairs, and here come WYLDE.
Well, you can see, unlucky timing on that one as well. They have burst inside a bakery, but I saw a couple of players working on the other side of the map. Teb's found the kill that he needs. Aces into another. They're falling like dominoes once again. Tim, it looked for a second like MNM might be able to hold on, but by the looks of it, they have absolutely crumbled when it matters. And WYLDE, although it took them a good 2 minutes, they run over MNM.
Yeah, they've really woken up here of WYLDE. This is what we wanted to see at 4-0 down. You know, I voice my concerns. We want to see more of a matchup of it. We want to see as many rounds of this as possible. And WYLDE are really starting to deliver now. They're looking much more that impressive team that we saw through the group stages, looking really dangerous on attack. As you say, MNM just unable to put a halt to anything that they're trying to do, whether that be gain map control, whether that be trying to just rush and run over them. You know, there's nothing that MNM can really say about any of it. I really thought that opener from Users onto Jegs might just give MNM the wiggle room that they needed. WYLDE were pushing largely in from Bakery, but nope, absolutely not. WYLDE finding their kills and going fantastically well. You can just see now, you know, you've got those players all starting to step up as a team as well. Hungry, of course, struggling a little bit, but Packbull, Jegs, Teb, Ace has only 2 kills to split between the whole 4 of them. It just really shouts of a team effort.
I love that they all use the, I know it's a little game, but the sandbox background as well, the player card.
The cats. Everybody loves the cats.
Exactly, mate. That's what it's all about. At least they're unified in it as well.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
Love to see it.
A little bit of team synergy. Here we go, though. Top floor, Tim. That's
Skinnergy.
Skinnergy. That's the one. You've got it. But you got me beat, Tim. 1-0 to you. Here we go. Top floor. Mirror.
I can't claim it. Parker came up with that one, I think, back in Charlotte, I think it was.
Lord, really throwing us back there, huh? Top floor it is. Mirror on side for Yuzus. Couple of C4s, 3 of them actually in back pocket alongside the Valk. Now, when we saw Valkyrie coming along for WYLDE in the first half, especially towards the top floor sides, the middle floor or top floor, sorry, we saw IQ being brought along by the attackers pretty much every single time. WYLDE here so far, not respecting that, going towards the Thatcher, going in towards the Twitch, to may get stabbed in the back a little bit by those Valk cams, assuming they're in good spots and aren't found out by other means.
Never an easy one to hold on to. Mirror position inside of bathroom looking outward will be an interesting one. It can be used to hold on to the spot under new hatch, the default plant spot coming in through cigar door. But the reason that I pick up on it is bathroom, of course, can be attacked from that south-sided window on the white corridor. So you can get up there, just looking across the attacker lineup. They've got 4 nades on side. There's nothing on the side of MNM to stop those nades. So potentially there's just going to be explosives flying in there for whoever's trying to hold on to that mirror. That's potentially going to be a very tough spot.
Absolutely. Well, Twitch drones are in and getting to work. Trying to find out whatever they may to get rid of some of those mirror windows is the idea, but one shot drone already gone, not super ideal. EMP's on the roof, by the way. I think it was... I want to say it was Meep who spoke about this back when he used to be on Rogue, was being able to use this with the IQ on top and just get rid of things like that. On Club, it's really effective for getting rid of ADSs, and you can toss some brilliant nades. But here, it's about the plant going down. They're inside, they're in bar. There's no one to deny as they've been forced away by the entirety of WYLDE. Really well played and super well executed. No chance of a deny coming in from MNM.
Absolutely brilliant from WYLDE. Packbull just going to sit on those angles now and wait for MNM to try and push their way back in. Picks himself 3 in the round. Could be a 4th if he holds his patient. But Tyrant, he knows that there's nothing to be done here. He's trying to use that mirror window that I was talking about. But nope, it's going to be Aces to pick him up. And you just feel like MNM, they tried something there. But boy, did it go wrong. There was absolutely no joy for them whatsoever. WYLDE, they're going to bring us back to level pegging. There's 5 rounds in a row won for MNM, responded with 5 rounds in a row from WYLDE. And I said coming into this, very occasionally where somebody goes 5-1 in a half, you get past into that second stage of things and the other team turn around and say, you know what, we think we can go one better than that. And WYLDE, they're really eyeing it up at the minute. 6-0 half from them would end this in regulation and put map 1 in their favour.
What I'm curious to find, I need to go and dig into our Discord for this one to go and find out when we had the map veto, who starts on attack in overtime. I would imagine it's WYLDE. It was their map pick. They therefore get the choice of which side they start things off on. If they're starting out on the attack OT, then brilliant. No. Oh, okay. MNM or attack OT. So WYLDE pick the defensive side. That could spell danger if MNM can get around in these next 2.
Well, it's just kind of interesting, you know, because obviously Cafe's really playing out, you know, in attacker favour today, as you've quite rightly said.
First time for everything,
WYLDE,
Tim.
you know, I look at it and I think we're WYLDE playing into thinking, you know we're going to have a good attacking half, that's fine. But if they've chosen defence for the overtime, that really doesn't suggest that they had any expectation of what happened in the first half of this game, which, to be honest, makes the current situation even more impressive from them. You know, if it's been a bit of a sucker punch, if it's been something that they didn't expect, you know, to get hammered like that on the defence, then fighting back has been a great move for them. But talking of great moves, Jesus, he's going to throw one of the oldest in the book there, straight out with the nitro, and manages to pick up Jags.
Aces can't find his man. This could be that round that I was on about, Tim. They only need one in the next two, and they've got such a massive advantage going into overtime. And just like that, like you say, a cheesy-ass C4 coming out, a oldest trick in the book, absolutely doming them, and MNM now look full of confidence, swinging into these last two gunfights they've come on top of, and now Hungry finally gets himself on the board in what could be, I'm not going to say it's the swing kill, but at least gives his team a chance, him and Patbull, to still bring this one back.
It's certainly not going to be easy, though. Like you say, Hungry, you know, has been sort of sat in the cold for a lot of this game. That's been his first kill inside of 11 rounds. It really does just mechanically, I think sometimes, you know, it won't be the same for every player, but it's like you sat on the bench, essentially. You know, you're out of the game to a degree when it comes to gunfights, and it can be difficult to have to start taking one after another, especially with some of the gunners that they're going to be lining up against. But it is absolutely doable. We see it happen. Tyrant, however, is going to pick up Hungry. Solotov's got a good idea of where Patbull's coming from. They see the man. They're just waiting patiently for him to push forward. Solotov it will be to pick up both of them, and that's going to be MNM taking what could be a crucial round here, Des, guaranteeing overtime and giving themselves an opportunity to get back onto the attack where they won the first half 5-1. So WYLDE, you've got a real challenge ahead of you now.
Surely, Tim, not our first map of being back in EU leagues going to overtime, right? Surely not.
I mean, imagine. It certainly couldn't be possible for you and I,
No, just
to get
statistically impossible, mate.
Don't worry, I'm warming up the vocal cords, Des. They are ready to go, especially with top floor defense coming out from MNM. I'm always very cautious about this site. Look at the last time MNM played it. You know, they tried the funky mirror inside of the bathroom. Looking back towards site, they were just forced back over to the south side of top floor. Diffuser went down. WYLDE won comprehensively the last time that they played on this site. So MNM really going to have to do something different. They haven't brought the mirror this time. They've got the castle. So I would imagine we will see a slightly different strategy. I think more of what we might term a default strategy coming out from them this time.
Looks to be, really, it's entirely down how the attack plays this one out, though. Grim on side once again. Seen quite a lot on this map so far from both teams, to be fair. I know early on in the stage we only seen it a couple of times. I think four times played globally in week one or something like that. Whereas here, I think it's been played more than that just inside one game itself. Onwards we march, though, and I am with you. It is much more staple, standard. The castle, Aruni, just a classic setup that you see coming out towards the cigar shop side of things. But for me, again, it comes down to how WYLDE opt to attack this. It probably is the most standard lineup we've had for both teams in terms of operators. But if the round is like any of the other 11 that we've seen so far, the way it plays out should be anything but standard.
There's not going to be any cheap nitros to be found this time around. WYLDE are far too good for that. They won't fall foul of that again. They are just watching that white door. Users is toying with them a little bit. I don't know if there's maybe a bit of information, a little drone down there or anything to tell them to keep an eye on things, but certainly aware of Users' presence. They're going to find it if Jags continues with that drone going through for the time being, just looking around that mid floor, and they need to be careful because they've got boots on the ground in there as well. And there you go. There is a world where Users is able to push forward and make a nuisance of himself. He's got utility there. Certainly planning to play this position rather than up at the top of white stairs, and I like it. He's got nitro in hand, so the threat of him being able to rotate underneath could well be a big sticking point. And there you go. Solotov, Nath managed to pick up 2 Des. This could be it for Cafe for WYLDE.
They just look completely locked in as well, still stuck in behind this setup inside a cigar and having to crawl their way forward ever so slowly. Just MNM looking unbothered. And again, it's off the back of an early C4. Just finding one of the key men on the other side, taking him offline, and the second one follows really quickly, same as in the last round. So those opening C4s, the last one definitely more cheesy, have done so much work for MNM, and WYLDE have got to battle their way back here, 3 versus 5.
Ace is just working across that mid floor. Definitely needs to be finding the 2 gunfights that are ahead of him and winning them. That's 1 for free, but the second will know he's coming. There's the ping.
And
there's the challenge, but Usus is ready for it. Aces can get no more than 1, leaving us now in a 2 versus 4. 40 seconds left to go, and WYLDE, if you want to get your map won, it's now or never. 1 versus 3 for Jegs.
Got to do it all by himself, and sure, MNM are playing this one pretty carefully. Don't need to swing into him. One goes for the swing. Jegs almost finds his man, immediately spins 90 to the left, but can't find the one swinging in from Freezer. Diffuser is down on the ground. He's got to be able to recover it in some way, shape or form, but Tim, it's going to be a question of going through every single player on the other side here. Almost finds Tyrant, but Tyrant steps back out, finds his man. It's 7-5 to MNM on WYLDE's map Picker Cafe.
What a game we've just seen to kick off this 3 maps, and MNM winning that one. That was the one map that I really didn't see MNM picking up against, while the others, you know, feel like a toss of a coin. But after that, MNM showing that they really do mean business. WYLDE just unable to keep pace. Got to shout them out. They had a fantastic return in that second half of things to fight back and take us to 12 rounds. But MNM, they find the difference there at the end, and 25 kills between Tyrant and Usus probably helped.
Oh, massively so. And it took Aces a while to wake up, as we saw, but we did see some promise on that side. Patball really woke up into the game, but for me, Tyrant, I know we spoke about